So our next Finding Gold session is with Anita. And I just said, have you got gold you want to bring in or what? And she said, I thought about it. And I went, hang on, we're going to push play. We're going to push record. So carry on now. We're recording, so it's all good.
Exactly, mid-sentence. So here's what I've been thinking about and what has stood out to me so starkly in this concept of like slowing down. And I'll give a little context around it.
Go for it.
Weeks ago with my family, my daughter had a fall break. And we said, okay, let's go on vacation. And I have to admit, there was part of a little bit of resistance in me of my head going so many things that I wanted to get done. And I went on this break. I left everything home but one book that I brought with me. And in that space of just traveling through Italy, being with my husband and my daughter, and reading this book occasionally, space opened up. And it's sort of, you're nodding like, I know this space, right? We know this. And yet it was sort of hit me how much more clarity took place in that space. And it's this, the slowing down, right? Like we understand the slowing down of our minds. And I saw it how the expansion of the mind was so stark. So then that kind of led me to be like, well, how do I want to create this now? Like, here I have this insight that I knew before and I've heard 1,000 times. It's not like it's new, right? And for me, is then became clear as like this analysis of like, and I'm sure you've heard this because I've heard it 1,000 times. If you had like a jar and you have like big rocks, pebbles, and sand, if you put in the sand and then the pebbles, the big rocks simply don't fit. But if the big rocks go in first and then the pebbles and then the sand, And so I took this time to really identify the big rocks and change everything. Well, before it was like the big rock was the business. But there was no space in that. That was like this, it was like the sand, everything else didn't fit. Yeah. And there are bigger rocks that need to be. It's my relationship with my spouse. It's my relationship with my daughter. Yeah. It's caring of my aging mother. These need space. And these are the biggest spaces. And then everything else will fit around that as well. Yeah. But if I have it the other way around, it just, it's the other way. It's lopsided. Yeah. So even last night when Amir was speaking, like that's exactly it. Yeah. It's the return on life of knowing what the big rocks are and creating that space for them. And I couldn't before, just like, yeah, they're there, but they were sort of squeezed in as well with everything else. Like I felt like everything was big rocks, but understanding what are the big rocks for me in this time right now and what needs to be the pieces that come in later. And it can
I love that. I just want to reflect that back, right? Because what I hear in you, in what you said there, the gold is in the unveiling of what the big rocks are. Now, somebody could listen back to this interview and they could go, oh, right. So what Anita's saying is that I need to go on holiday. I need to slow down and only take one book. And then if I do that, I'll put my spouse and my daughter first and my mom and whatever. And that's what she's telling me. And that's the nuanced mistake, I think, of the personal development world. And that's not what you're saying. What I hear you saying is that something moved you to slow down. Something moved you to, despite reluctance, to take your holiday. Something said, only take one book. Something revealed to you what the big rocks were. And the more that we point at the something, I don't really know what that would be. Like, we could call it wisdom or intuition or guidance or God or cauliflower cheese. I don't think it would matter what it was, really. But the more we point at that and stop pointing at the form, the easier and easier and easier the ride gets.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. It's not in the structure, it's not in the, it is creating space to hear it.
Yeah. And it's that which moves you to do that. That's the gold. It's that which goes, create space to hear. So it's not even in the creating the space. That's a symptom. That's the output. It's what drives that, which is where we want to keep our attention.
Exactly.
So, like, when I'm listening to these things, I'm listening for what drives that, and not for the thing. And then I know the thing will appear when it appears. Beautiful. Oh, that's amazing. That is gold.
Yeah, and I see it. It is, though, in that space that I allow to be, even before I'm on vacation, right? Sort of the wisdom that kicks in, right? There was a tendency, what can I, I can take books, right? I can, not that I would, but I can do all these things. And it's this deep underlying feeling of like, nope, not that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's occurring to me that on some level, whether you're aware or not, that you were asking for that. And so that would be, because we're always really asking for stuff, even if we're not aware that we're asking for stuff. We're asking for stuff. So my guess would be that on an energetic level, you were wanting that, and so the response is that space is created and the circumstances are created, and then there's that kind of gentle dance between what the mind thinks should be happening and this deepest guidance, this unfolding, playing out. And yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
it's really powerful.
Yeah, and isn't it so interesting? Yes, it's that wisdom that underneath that knows better. And
Yeah,
it happens
totally.
often that it's like it pokes up and it's like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
And off there's times that I shut it down, and there's often I let it come. Even though
Yeah,
it
that's
may not
beautiful.
make rhyme
Yeah.
or season, or rhyme or
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. And that when we ask in that way, I love that what you said there. When we ask and effectively the whole solution is provided, like, that's what's created immediately. And then it's a question of whether, as you say, we allow that unfolding, or whether we jump on it and like, oh no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I can't go on holiday. I need to focus on the business. So it strikes me that our job in a way is calibration, of constantly feeding into that and feeling the energy of where that's coming from. Is it coming from that expansiveness, or is it like, nah, this is what I need to do?
Exactly.
Yeah, which
And
is it?
it
Oh,
feels
that's
exactly like
beautiful.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the voice I make for it.
And it makes the
I
same voice
need to
within
do
me.
this. Yeah, I think it is for all of us, actually.
It's
Oh,
kind
that's
of a
beautiful.
universal voice, right?
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Anita, that is gold. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Brilliant.